I'm Howlin Steve Howell. I'm your host today on BurntPossumRecords.com. And man, we have had such a great lineup over the last couple weeks. And it's just so wonderful to have one Brandon Hudspeth with me today. And I'll tell you, this is one of the hardest working guitar playing people that you could ever meet in your life. Last time I talked to him, he just got off a blues cruise and was flying high and having a good time with that. And I'll tell you, folks, you ought to go back and listen to some of these podcasts that's been going on. I'm telling you, man, there is a wealth of information, and it's some of the coolest people in the world that I've been getting to talk to, let alone Kansas City's own, that I'm going to talk to right now and introduce Brandon Hudspeth. How are you these days?
Hey man, I'm doing fabulous, man. Just had a daughter, so that's keeping me busy. Me and my wife had a daughter, so things have changed for me a little bit. But yeah, things are good.
Well, that makes going home so much fun, doesn't it? I mean, when you get home, it's like, oh man, you just want to sweep her up and go, "Hey, baby," they're just some little fat cheeks and
exactly. just the bad part, it makes it a little harder to leave. So.
Oh my goodness!
But that's
And I imagine you relieve your wife some too, I mean, because there she is, she's holding that part of it down while you're off, I mean, because we call it playing instruments and stuff like that. There's a huge misunderstanding in the world, about the business of music, because Lord knows it's hardcore, isn't it? I mean,
it's not as glamorous as a lot of people think, traveling around in a van or whatever it may be, and getting up early and driving hard hours, a lot of it's hard, but so it's worth it though.
But you got some great guys that you're hanging around with. I mean, let's face it. I don't know. I watch you mix it up with the band. Like I watched you with here recently here in Beloit, Kansas. You were at the Kettle Outdoor gig that they had there, and I was so happy to see you, man. And you played like a monster, dude. And some of that interaction between you and Dustin was just phenomenal, man. I mean, it was like you guys were talking, and I don't know if you guys do that all the time, but I don't know, it felt pretty special that night anyway.
Yeah, that's a fun band to play in. I'm really enjoying playing with the Damnations and Dustin Arbuckle, and all those guys are great musicians. They're all younger than me too. So this is the first the first time I've ever been in a band where I am the oldest person in the band.
Oh, brother, that's been my operation since I began to play. Almost, I've always been the old dude, the guy, that always had to do all their arranging and all that kind of crazy stuff. And it's really funny, because I mean, it's like when you are the oldest, they do look up to you, believe it or not.
It's a little bit different. You're right. I mean, I didn't think, it's, in a lot of different ways, but it's a lot of fun. Those guys are awesome. And there's a lot of interaction.
Kind of waiting for Brandon to come back on. We kind of froze here for a minute. We had a little bit of trouble last time. In fact, I lost a full interview with him, and it was like, oh my goodness. And sometimes when you do the technological things that we do, it just is the way it is. So we'll just kind of wait for Brandon to come back on. He's totally off his computer right now, so I'm going to hang on right there.
Okay,
we're back to where we were. Do you remember where we were in conversations?
Yeah, I think so. I was talking about just playing with Dustin Arbuckle and just how the interaction that we do is so off the cuff, and it's a lot of improvisation. That's one of the reasons I like playing in that band.
Oh, that's great, because you travel miles to do it, don't you?
We're getting ready to go to Europe actually in November. So yeah, we're going to Eastern Europe for all of November.
So when you have all these different interactions going on, like you have Levee Town And then
Right.
you have Hudspeth and Taylor going
Right.
on also. I mean, how
Yep.
does that work when you're getting ready to go to Europe? Does it put everybody else on pause and they go, "Oh man, come on," what goes on there? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, well, in a way, I guess, but the Euro, things like that, they're booked so far in advance, I mean, things like that were on the books for, 8 months. So they have plenty of time and, they all have things that other side projects and, so everybody stays busy. So, that's the good thing about it. So I haven't made anybody mad, I don't think, so that's good.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, I mean, it always seems like a fine line, but that's what I was talking about. When you have characters in the band that you just absolutely enjoy playing, and they enjoy playing with you,
Yeah.
and so I mean, Levee Town has been going on for as long as I know. That's over 20 years.
2002 is when we started.
Oh, okay,
So yeah,
2002.
20 years. Wow. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember Levittown back at Jilly's, and I
Man.
guess the Blue River Ordinance was just kind of breaking up and doing they were going different ways. And
Yeah.
there were several things going on at the Jilly's Jam.
Yeah.
That was one of the funnest jams I think I've ever been a part of myself personally.
Yeah.
And I played Portland, and I played Grants Pass, Oregon. I mean, I played all these different places, and I call that one of the funnest jams that I ever had. But I was scared to death of you, brother. I mean,
Oh,
you frightened me, man. I was back there. I had my little I had my little amplifier in my guitar, and I had it, and I kind of hid it behind a table so nobody would ask me to come play.
oh,
After
shoot.
after listening to you, and I was like, oh man, there ain't no way I could do that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You were just a monster to me. You still are, but I wouldn't be afraid anymore. I mean,
Right.
I'm fearless anymore. But it's
Yeah. I
like,
was going to say, yeah.
but that was kind of Alan McGinty, the bass player that was at
Sure.
Chili's that night. Came back and he made me sign up. He saw me sneak my guitar stuff. He says, "Well, you're going to get your name on the list, aren't you?" I said, "No." He said, "Why?" "I can't play with those guys. Are you kidding?"
Oh, man. Yeah. Alan's a great guy. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I see him on Facebook sometimes. So yeah, he's a good dude. I love that guy.
I love him. I see him all the time. I mean, it's like we've done other business dealings, and I just love the
Okay.
guy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic thing. But I do remember walking up to the stage, and you were still up there, kind of. You called me up. You said next one it's going to be Steve Howell, and so I said, much fear until I started. Who's been talking, and the crowd helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
It ended up being a really good time. I mean,
Yeah.
it did. I mean,
Yeah. There's a good crowd there. It was a good vibe, going on that place.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yeah, that's the kind of thing that a guy lives for.
Yep.
So, what are you doing now? I mean, what's going on right now? I mean, level the playing field, and you're thinking, okay, I got this next couple days. I'm going to go do. What is that?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Like, so today's Thursday, we're talking. So, like, tomorrow I go to Wilson, Kansas, if you know where that is.
Of course.
Yeah, I figured you did. Yeah, to the Midland Railroad and restaurant, I think it's called.
Great place.
It
Great
is.
place. Great people. Oh yeah.
Yeah, good food too, by the
Yeah.
way.
You're getting
Yeah,
right in the middle of bow hunt country, and they know how to enjoy music, and they know how to drink.
yeah,
They know how to eat their food, man.
yep.
Oh man, I
There's a big,
loved playing there.
there's a big Czech egg there too. I think it's the biggest one in the world, actually.
Yeah, I know
So,
people don't think about it, but there's a lake, less than 10 miles away from there called Wilson Lake.
yeah,
First lake in Kansas. I mean, best place in
really,
the world go swimming. Oh my goodness.
huh?
Yeah, if you ever get a chance, take
I
your
will.
baby there, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place, and the water is so clear. Unreal.
yeah, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're playing there with the Damnations. Dustin Arbuckle and the Damnations are playing. And then Saturday, Levittown plays at an Overland Park at the Fall Festival, they call it,
Oh,
the Fall
cool.
Festival. That's on Saturday. And Saturday night, Levittown plays a party up in northern Kansas City.
Oh,
So,
fantastic. So
and
you got
then
a nice
yeah,
weekend coming up.
yeah, and then every Sunday, Levee Town plays at Knuckleheads. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
that's kind of that's how this weekend wraps up. So every, as you know, how it is, every weekend's quite different, but yeah, it's fun to get to play with different people, and keep it fresh, all different songs, of course.
So
Yeah,
you're still in love with the business, right? I mean, you still
I
love it.
am. I still love playing music a lot more, of course, than the business aspect of it. But yeah, I still love, I wouldn't do anything else, I mean, I still get mad, of course,
Of
things that
course.
aren't fair, of course, because this is a brutal business, of course, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
worth it because I get to play my guitar for a living, and make people happy, hopefully, and so I can't beat that.
Yeah, that was some of the biggest joys of my life is being able to play there in Kansas City and stay busy. Oh my God,
Hmm.
and I was playing all over then because I had solo act and then I had this Soul Shakers at that time and
Yeah, that's
Howell and
right. I
Stephen the
remember
Soul
that.
Shakers and we were pretty. I mean, God, it just seems like I mean, and I know you're busy. You're crossing state lines and you're going all over the place, though. I mean,
But yeah,
and we didn't do that too much in the Soul Shakers. Pretty much, I was. I mean, there was a lot of places like, Blaney's and Knuckleheads and all those different
yeah,
places that just kept us cycling, for
exactly.
3 and 4 days a week, which was like,
Yep.
okay, a guy can make a living off that, if you
Yeah.
do the charges. And of course, Trouser Mouse was there back then, and I
Yeah.
would get hired all the time to
Yeah.
go play there.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a good time, in Kansas City because there's a lot of gigs, during the week even, stuff like, those places had music during the week, Trouser Mouse. And so you're right. That's a good thing about Kansas City is you really don't have to travel if you don't want to. You could actually sit right here and play in Kansas City and probably do pretty well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I tell you,
You have to do some hustling and play a lot of different kinds of music, but it can
yeah.
be done in Kansas City.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's amazing because I mean, there was a lake that we played there. There was, I mean, the Three
Yeah.
Springs, and I mean,
Yeah.
there was all kinds of gigs that were going on at the time. So
Uh-huh.
it was. I mean, I gotta say, it was kind of like the best times of my life as far as playing goes.
Yeah.
The only thing, like when you talk about things that what irritated me is all the time is being the setup guy. I mean, just and I'm talking because this is an informative radio show, and we are talking to up and coming people that are interested in musicians and what it's like to be in the business. And so
Mhm.
part of that business for me, man, was setting up that PA all the time by
Yeah.
myself. That
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
and then the guys wanting to get paid exactly what you get paid, and
Right.
it's like, hey,
Exactly.
wait a minute here. That bird
Yeah.
don't fly too well, and so,
Yeah.
it starts a little bit of a rub, and then
It
someone
sure
starts,
does.
next thing you know, you have a guy starting an LLC from underneath you, and the next
Yeah.
thing you know, I mean, it's like, okay, fine. I mean, I'll go play with somebody else, no problem. I mean, it's like,
Right. Yeah.
I didn't feel like, being a vocal guy like I am, I could sing and play.
Hmm.
I think that was quite an advantage, because I mean,
Sure.
you piece this guy together and that guy together, and
Yeah.
make something out of nothing if you wanted to.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's so important. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a big plus.
Oh man! And so, do you stay close to all those guys that you used to jam with a lot? Do you get to say hi to a lot of your old friends and stuff from 20 years ago and stuff? Of course, you're in Levittown, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I mean, some of them, sure, yeah. I run paths. Not a lot, but yeah, I'd say some. It's
well,
there's
you
so
know,
many different people over the years. It's hard. I'm trying to remember 20 years ago, but yeah, for sure. Jimmy Mead, I see him sometimes.
oh, cool,
Yeah, he's
cool.
a great guy, and he comes out and jams with us still sometimes. And that's always a treat. Because he's a great player.
Oh, no kidding, man.
Yeah,
All you guys are. I mean,
yeah.
I can't name a bad one in the bunch, I mean, all you guys, especially being led by you too. I mean, some of those, tell us now, because I know this story, but I'd rather hear it from you, who is the most inspirational guitar players that got you going in the direction that you are right now? Those
Hmm.
guitar players, like, is it, like, is it one of the kings? Is it
Oh,
Earl
I
King?
see. Man,
Huh?
that's a hard one because there's so many. But yeah, I would definitely would have to say it would have to be BB King. To narrow it down, I know a lot of people say that, especially in the blues world, but it's true for me. I mean, I was a fan of his when I was 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, so I that always stuck to me for some reason. His live recordings and all of the recordings, so I'd have to say definitely him without a doubt, and plus my dad was really a big fan and he'd be on Johnny Carson all the time. And my
Oh,
dad would wake me up and he was a huge fan and I think that helped me get involved. So it had to be BB.
oh, wow. So did your dad really inspire you? I mean, he was part of your inspiration. Like my dad was a guy, I mean, I was supposed to pick beans in Albany, Oregon, and I was living in Pomona, California.
Right.
That's where I grew up, is Pomona, California.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
And they put me on this train, and I was 12 years old. Sent me up to meet my uncle off the train, and I had to change trains like twice, and that's the part that freaked me out the most, when you're traveling.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
anyway, I mean, I picked the beans and I moved irrigation pipe, and I did all this work, and then at the end I had like $30 left over after I bought all my school clothes for the year, and so there was this F hole arch top harmony guitar on the wall
Nice.
for 24.95, and I had $5 left over. I mean,
Wow.
so I walked out with that, but I got off the train, back in the other side, on the flip side, down in Pomona, and my dad said, "I told you to buy school clothes.
Right.
What is that in your hand?" I
Yeah,
said,
what is that?
"That's a guitar, Dad." I know it's a guitar. Do you think anything good's gonna ever come out of that? And I says, "Dad, I'm gonna learn how to play." That's
Yeah.
that's all there was to it, man. So I started boning up on some Johnny Cash,
Uh-huh. There you
there,
go.
there, 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 and the whole thing. And so my dad finally got behind me. Was that kind of so? Your dad, you didn't have to go through that with your dad. You
No.
didn't learn music just for your dad. You learned it because you had this love and this ear
Yeah, I
already.
mean, what really made me start is saying I saw Johnny Cash on Sesame Street, and that's what got me going to play the guitar from the beginning. And my dad was a huge music fan. I mean, he didn't play anything, but so he was all about getting me guitar lessons. So I started taking guitar lessons when I was 5.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
yeah,
Did
they
you
got
take?
me a guitar right off the bat because my dad was just huge into music.
Oh,
You
no
know,
kidding, man.
just a
That's
fan, Jimmy Reed, Elmore James, BB
oh
King,
my
that kind of stuff.
goodness.
He was always playing. And so that's where I got that from. He probably didn't think that I was going to end up playing guitar for a living. He probably would much rather me do something, a little more conventional with my life. But he supported me once he realized that I wasn't going to budge for sure.
That's fantastic. Did he go to a lot of your shows, or does he
He went to
still?
anytime I was close, he'd be there. Or yeah, he'd almost come to every show. Yeah.
I bet his chest was out as far
Yeah.
as you could stick out the chest, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
he would. He traveled. They would travel around and see us play all over the place. We do the IBC every year, and they'd come down to the IBC and all that. Oh yeah, yeah. He would be there. He was always there.
Oh my goodness, that's a
Yeah.
fantastic story in itself, and a lot of people should hear that, because I think kids that want to learn to play the guitar, they should have the support of mom and dad, without
Yeah.
mom and dad standing over the top of them, going,
Right.
"Ah, you better do this right, or you better practice this." I mean, because
Yeah.
to develop an ear for music
Right.
is the first thing that you have to do. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, you're listening to the Beatles, like I'd listen to the Beatles, man, and I'd start hearing how Ringo plays,
Yep.
and then I'd listen to how what Paul's doing on his bass, right? And,
Mhm.
and of course, you hear the rhythm interplay between John Lennon and George Harrison, and I think that's what inspired me probably the most. Besides, I mean, let's face it, and I know you got to be a huge fan of Muddy Waters. You
Oh
have
yeah, he's right up there to the top. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
to.
without a doubt. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a good one.
we do have a lot of heroes, don't we? I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but Muddy's one of the top, one of the kings, without a doubt. Yeah, for me.
I
Yeah,
mean, besides Freddie King, and then you have Albert King, and I
yeah.
mean, and there for a while in Kansas City before he went away was Lester King. I really enjoyed that guy, man.
Man, he was killer,
Man, he was
killer,
monstrous on the
killer
flying V's.
player. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, great guy and killer player. I got to play with him quite often, and he was awesome, man.
Oh,
I think he
he's
was a saxophone player before he played guitar, and with Albert Collins maybe or something. I can't remember the story, but yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
But
but yeah, I remember Lester very well.
yeah, there's a Philip out of Portland named Tim Helm that he actually played bass for Albert Collins, Iceman. Yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah, he had all kinds of good story. I should have, now that I've heard Lester again, maybe I should hook back
yeah,
up with Tim. Say, man,
yeah, yeah.
Did you play with Lester?
Well,
I mean,
Albert Collins spent a lot of time in Kansas City. I don't know if he had family in Kansas City or there was some connection in Kansas City where he was there a lot. So, he had a lot of connections in Kansas City with different people.
so I talk to people all the time about that. I mean, a lot of folks don't realize that Kansas City was part of the triad. The blues
Yeah,
triad at one time.
sure. Yeah, totally.
I mean, where you have people like Bessie Smith coming into play. I
Hmm.
mean, there was people traveling up and down 61 that would take their little adventure over into Kansas City before going up into Chicago. I mean, it's on the way. Why
Yeah.
not?
Oh, totally. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's totally on the way. Yeah, it's mega of music over the years. So much history in Kansas City. For blues and of course the jazz world too.
Oh
That
man.
all kind of mingles together. Jay McShann and Count Basie and that kind of stuff too.
One of my favorite guys there in Kansas City, I think one of the guys, and I know you know him, is Phil Collier.
Oh yeah, I know Phil. Shoot, of
Man,
course.
I've had some fun gigs with him, and I got paid
Yeah,
really good money whenever I played with him. I mean,
yeah, he's still around. Yeah, I see him. I see him periodically. I don't get to jam with him much though, but yeah, he was always fun to
oh,
jam with. Great
oh,
drummer, great singer, great entertainer. Just a cool dude.
yeah, yeah, that's really true. So, I mean, it's like, okay, like of all the characters I met, on the road, he was he was another guy that kind of scared the fire out of me to play with, and that was all Alan McGinty's fault.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Alan called me up about 3 days before the America Royal, the main stage
Uh,
thing, and he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, you want to play America Royal?" And then I says, "Well, what do you got going on?" And he named this lineup, and I was like, "I don't belong in that lineup. What are you talking about? Go get a guitar player."
oh
Oh
man,
man,
come
and he
on.
and he put me on stage, and I had the best time of my life. And I
Good.
couldn't stop smiling, man. I mean, it was
Nice.
just so much fun, and
That's awesome.
that's why Alan McGinty keeps coming up in the conversation since we both know him. It's kind of the same
Yeah,
thing. But
sure.
but
Yeah.
but I know that, I mean, it's the only place in the world, I think, Kansas City, why I keep talking about Kansas City, it's the only place in the world that you could probably drive every 5 miles and bump into a place where it's got music going on of
Yeah.
some sort, some kind. And I mean, we're talking about Wednesday through Sunday, and even Sunday. Some of the best jams I ever got in were on Tuesday. In
Yeah.
fact, I think the one that you led at Chili's was a Tuesday.
It was. It was a Tuesday, but yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's exactly right. Kansas City does have a lot of music, live music going on. And even of course, the COVID has changed everything, but it has it's came back, in a different
Yeah,
way. It's
yeah.
different. They're different for sure, but it's there. It's definitely there. It's not late anymore. That's the big. You know what I mean? Things close down earlier, which is I with me. You know, my gigs are over at 10 o'clock versus 1 o'clock in the morning. Where they,
Oh, that's so
know,
great. I
that's
love that.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm home early. You
Yeah,
know, I
that's
love
a
it.
that's one of the reasons why I get to play again is because I only go for 2 hours. I mean,
Yeah, and the
there's
gigs are
no,
shorter too, and they should be. There's no
yeah,
need to play 4 hours. That's ridiculous, I think. You know,
yeah, the 4 hour thing, and like at Blaney's, I
well,
remember,
that was 4.5 hours. That was 4.5 hours at Blaney's.
and you didn't get out till 2 o'clock. So by the time of loadout, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you had a day job,
Oh yeah.
oh
Well,
my.
we were doing Tuesdays from 10 to 2:30.
Oh
Every
my,
Tuesday, 10 to 2:30.
what a brutal loadout too, down that
I
little ramp,
know.
ramp
Yeah, it'd be
into the
snowing and you know what I mean? Snow, ice coming down.
Oh yeah, some shady characters come out at
Yeah,
about
and then
two
everybody
o'clock too.
walking around in Westport trying to steal your stuff.
Yeah, you gotta stand guard. My wife did
Yeah, it takes
several
like
times.
three people to load out, so somebody stand to watch your gear. Yeah, yeah, man.
Oh god, fun
But I love
times.
Blaney's. Those were good times, man. I was there so much. I played so much music there.
Of all the places that you played, and which is a bunch, man. I mean, you played. I mean, like all over. And what is your favorite place that gives you that vibe? It just like the minute you walk in there, man, there's like magic to you. It's like the smells.
Right.
Maybe it's old beer bottles, or maybe
Yeah.
it's just something about it when you walk in that door, man.
Yeah. I
What?
mean, it's pretty easy. That's an easy one for me. And I have played quite a few places. And the place that does that for me is in Kansas City, actually. It's called BB's Lawnside Barbecue.
Oh man, with Lindsay
There's
Shannon, huh?
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I moved to Kansas City, that's where I used to hang out all the time. And I got going there basically in Kansas City when I and it's still just a great place. I played there last night, and it's just fun every night that I play there. It just the smell, like you said, it's everything about
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
all the stuff,
All
and
the pictures on the wall,
yeah,
those murals.
pictures.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
just the
yeah.
atmosphere of it and where it's at, the location. I mean, just everything. That's the place that does that for me for sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I have a question for you about there was a fellow by the name of Lee McBee and Dustin Arbuckle was, he kind of mentored him.
Mhm.
Were you part of that? I mean, is that where you met? Where
That's
did
where
you
I
meet
met.
Dustin at?
That's where I met Dustin. So yeah, I played in Lee's band, played guitar, and we played at Blaney's every Tuesday. And but I met Dustin at BB's though, but jamming with Lee. But yeah, Lee would come over to our house. Jimmy and Lee were like this, very
Oh,
very close. And so was I, as Lee would come over, we jam all the time, and he would fill in for Jimmy if he was well, Jimmy got in a car accident and he did a lot of filling in for Jimmy at that point. And so yeah, me and Lee were very tight. Yeah, for sure. He was a great
oh,
guy, great musician too.
oh, yeah. Oh man.
Very
Yeah.
underrated. Well, not spoken of enough, I should say.
Yeah, that's true. He should be a household name. I mean,
Yeah, nobody really
everywhere.
knows who he is, like
That's
James
crazy.
Harmon or somebody like that. You know what I mean?
It's probably the days, I mean, because the days that he was highlighted probably were, it wasn't it on a Sunday, maybe I think
Yeah,
that might have been part of it. But, I mean, Jimmy Lewin still talks about him,
yeah,
in a great light, and Jimmy's not been able to play too much here lately. His health
yeah. I
is,
love Jimmy. I hope to see Jimmy tomorrow. I hope
eh,
actually. I'll
yeah.
be kind of in his neck of the woods. So
Hopefully he'll show up down there at Wilson. Yeah,
yeah,
Wilson's about an hour for me, so
yeah,
I don't know how long I can sit anymore. I mean, like I mean, in a car, it's like,
yeah. Oh, I see.
oh man, that could set off that. It could set off that
Yeah,
that uh,
yeah.
that disease that I hate so much.
Yeah, yeah,
but
right.
but those are great time. I'm gonna switch over to I want to get into some of your music, and I decided that I was gonna play Hudspeth and Taylor if
Okay,
that's
cool.
okay. And
Sure.
I mean I had plenty. I had some really good ones of you in the Damnations, but I thought I know I think I want to highlight on this because it just shows so much of your prowess on the guitar. Plus, you play a song that I just absolutely love, and because of that, I'm gonna play Candyman.
Nice.
Boy, didn't I tell you not to do that? You gotta keep your hands to yourself. Candyman, Candyman, cut off your bracelet, then your ring. Candyman, a story about Candyman. Mean old Candyman. Brought him back home, started to confessing, told a little story about Bessie in the lesson. Candyman, oh Candyman. You had a bad plan, talking about Candyman. Candyman couldn't go that bail. Looks like Candyman's going to jail. Candyman, ooh-wee Candyman. You had bad hands, talking about Candyman. Boy, didn't I tell you not to do that? Candyman acted a fool. He should have listened to the golden rule. Candyman, mean old Candyman. You had a bad plan, talking about Candyman. Well, Candyman's gonna wind up dead. At the very least, get knocked upside your head. Candyman, ooh-wee Candyman. You had a bad plan, talking about Candyman. Candyman, mean old Candyman. You had bad hands, talking about Candyman.
Oh, that's right. That's a great one. I mean, it's like what it reminded me of was a cross between like Hesitation Blues,
Yep.
kind of,
Yep.
kind of a cross, and then Shake Your Thing.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of it's got that in between thing going. I love that walk
Yeah.
and blues stuff, man. I mean,
Oh, I do too, man. I'm a
eh,
big fan of John Hurt and all those guys. I could go on and
oh,
on with that, but yeah,
oh man, oh yeah. And what when you're selecting a song like with Taylor, what goes on? How do you guys just, hey man, you want to try this song? How did you guys get together? First of all, that'd probably be really
yeah.
important to hear.
No, yeah. I mean, we met at BB's lawn side. We
Of course.
played. We met playing with a guy named Little Hatch.
Oh, Little Hatch. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I remember Little Hatch. Of
So when I
course.
was first came to
Right.
Kansas City, I played guitar in Little Hatch's band, and Hyson was the drummer. So that's how I met him, and so that was a long time ago, of course. But we got together to do the IBC one year,
Oh, is that
So
right?
about 5 years
Oh,
ago, we did win the Kansas City, and we went down and made it all the way to the semifinals. But we started off as an electric duo, and
uh-huh.
then we slowly evolved into this like Delta kind of acoustic thing, So,
Oh man. Oh,
but yeah, we're doing it. We're actually working on a new album right now, so I'm really excited for that to come out.
I myself, I'm addicted to the 1920s music. I
Yeah.
mean, it just,
Well, what we've done is we've taken songs from the 20s, obscure songs, and we've redone them. So we're gonna do a whole album of songs from the 20s. It's weird that you say that. 20s and early 30s.
I mean, I never knew you as a slide player until I actually saw you down in Beloit. I never heard you play slide before. That's kind of
Oh,
weird
okay.
because as much as
Yeah.
I heard you play, and I heard you play,
Yeah, a lot.
I mean a lot.
Yeah.
Parker's. I mean, I remember Parker's
Parker's.
barbecue.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's old
Parkville.
school.
Yeah.
Parker's barbecue. Man,
God,
yeah.
I was so sad when he went down or he went up north. He went up
Yeah.
to yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like, God, that was such a great vibey place to
It
play,
was.
man.
It was a cool place. Food was
I
great too, man. That's another one that was a good place.
That was in my cycle, that was part of my
Yeah.
cycle. He'd have me like every Wednesday or every Thursday, and then I would
Yeah.
move on to other places. Plain was a weekend thing for me. It wasn't
Yeah.
like because you probably had that other part sewed up. But that style of music that you do with Taylor is just,
Uh,
man, it's exciting. That whole album is good, man. I mean, it's really good.
I
It's
appreciate
worthy
it.
of listening with even with my old stuff because I'm a Jorma Kaukonen fan also.
Yeah.
I think Jorma Kaukonen is just a phenomenal blues player,
Sure.
underrated. Even with and folks don't even think of Stephen Stills as a blues player, but
Right. Oh, but
oh my
yeah.
man,
He's killer. Yeah.
some of his best stuff.
Yeah.
I basically just learned how to play Treetop Flyer.
Nice.
And
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's
uh,
good. I need to learn that. That'd be a good
uh,
one, man.
yeah, it was a fun. It's a fun one because you get to play all over the neck, and
Mhm.
that's the fun part. It's not
Yeah.
boring at all. I mean that whole thing. So yeah, and so
But
you
yeah,
guys,
that album did a lot of good things for us. We got nominated for a Blues Music Award from that album, and got to go on the blues crew, just one thing after the other, and it turned out to be a really cool thing. So I'm super excited for this next one to come out.
and so like if you wanted to play like some night down, you say, well, I want to go down to BB's Lawn Side. I
Right.
feel like playing down there. Can you just call them guys up and say, hey man, you got something open where I can come down and get it off
No, it's not that. No, he books pretty far in advance,
in advance? Yeah.
and me and Hyson play there every other Wednesday. So we have kind of a residency there. So that's kind of built in. And then Levee Town does a lot of, weekend stuff there. So, but yeah, it's it's a little bit more, or a little put together. But yeah, it's a great venue though. I'm telling you that. So, any
Oh,
listeners, go out and check that place out.
well, on the rewind, I was really happy to see you doing slide work, and you weren't just doing slide work; you were talking with that baby. I mean, you had a lot
Uh,
of. Tell me about that. Tell me again, because I couldn't hear you too well when I was asking you about the guitar. That it looks
oh,
like a Tele, but it's a
yeah,
hybrid
sure,
of.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's called the Harmony. It's a Harmony guitar. It's an H44. It's called the Stratotone. And they only made them between 54 and 57. And the whole thing is one piece of wood. So it's a
Oh,
really incredible instrument that doesn't have a truss rod though. So you're kind of
oh,
it's one of those deals where it is one piece of wood and it sounds fabulous, but it does need work every once in a while, which costs a lot of money.
oh
And
yeah.
I was looking,
Probably to get that wood back. I mean,
yeah,
once a neck starts to warp, I mean, it's like there's
they
only one
steam
thing
it.
you could do. You got to counter warp it. It's what you
Yeah,
got to do.
they steam it off. They steam it somehow.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what they do in the counter. So anyways, but yeah, it's a guitar I looked for probably 4 or 5 years. I looked for that guitar. Finally found it in Canada.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and bought it. And then I found one about 2 years ago at I was just at an estate sale and saw one for like $200.
Oh,
I was like, wow. Oh my gosh. Yep. Picked it up. Bought it right there.
Pick that one right there, man. That's fantastic. So do you like your guitar strings set up high, low, medium? What would you call it? I mean, because I have a setup for whenever I slide with the telly, I have it set up for slide, not too high. Yeah. I can do enough fingering with it, but you know what I mean? It's like, you have that kind of thing going on.
I'm pretty much right in the middle, you know, because all my guitars, other than the Stratotone, that one's got high action because I just play pretty much slide because the neck's pretty much warped on that one. So I don't have much of a choice, really, to be honest. But the other guitars that I play slide on, I play with my fingers too. So it's in the middle for sure, you know, and I use like, you know, 11 through 52 size strings on all my guitars. So that helps.
And do you still have that, like, it's like a wine, not a wine color, it's a red color 335 Gibson?
Oh yeah, I still have that. Yeah, I used to say that was my baby, but I can't really say that now. So I still have that guitar for sure. Yeah.
You'll probably be like Eric Clapton someday and say, well, I'm going home. I'm going back to, of course, he went to the Strat, but.
Well, I still play the 335 a lot with Levee Town. With the Damnations, the Telly seems to work with that band because we do a lot of country stuff too, you know. And
you know,
I don't know, it just seems to fit that band, you know. So, but with the Levee Town, I usually play the 335.
Yeah, you know, I'm such a snob. You know, I'm not too much into country. I like the old country. I like
what I like.
Yeah, that red dirt stuff, and you guys actually pulled that off really well. Dustin, I don't know how he does it, man. That vocal of his is fantastic. I saw him a week ago.
Yeah,
down at the Kettle. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Probably.
He sounds as busy as you. He's a hard guy to nail down for another date because I want to get together with him again. You know, and he's such a phenomenal guy. He's just like yourself, you know. You can either talk history, you can talk about guitars, you can talk about amplifiers, you can talk about vocal, you could talk about, you know, your favorite style of music. Now that you've played all these styles, you played from country and you play, you know, a rock and blues. You can play rock and blues, man. And I know I've heard you do it many times, and I know you can play that 50s shuffle kind of feel, that Memphis style of a swing guitar and stuff. Right. What is your favorite style? I mean, really, if you were to nail it all down without making anybody mad in the background, what is your favorite style?
Favorite guitar style? I would have to say that era that you mentioned from the 50s, you know, early 50s through, you know, that sound with the tweed amps, with the reverb tanks.
Oh man.
You know, with the tremolo. With you know, the tellies and the hollow body guitars, that era is what that's what I really like for electric guitar music. Always have. The big speed. I like the big speed, all that, you know.
Oh man, that's so fantastic.
All those things.
That was a prolific time in life, you know. I mean, let's face it, you know, you could go turn on a Muddy Waters, or you could turn on even Howlin' Wolf back then, you know, and then you could do Jimmy Reed, Freddie King, Albert King, B.B. King, and I mean, you could go on. We could name after name because
it's amazing.
A lot of people really didn't know about the blues until Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know. I think that was around 1988, actually. Yeah. And he was actually playing most of the stuff that he had heard back then before he started writing too. So
exactly.
So, are you doing any songwriting these days yourself?
Oh yeah, I you know, Levee Town just came out with an album in March 19th. You know, I wrote all the songs on that. and that did good, some good. So we got nominated for a Blues Blast, best blues rock album of the year. So
Oh
we
my
didn't win.
God.
Eric Gales beat us, so congratulations to him. He's killer.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm writing for a new album right now, and like I said, me and Hyson are gearing up for some stuff, and yeah, I'm always writing songs.
So what sets you off to write a song? Is it something you heard? Is it a guitar note or?
Man, it could be any of and all of those things. It could be something I heard on the radio or one lyric from a different song and be like, oh well, if you twisted it like this, you could make the whole song out of that one idea, and then that just spawns. My mind can just go off into, how it is. I'm sure you're the same way. You start working on something and you just take it to who knows where it'll go. It kind of takes itself.
My funnest time is when my wife and I, we break out, we go out and buy us a 30-pack and start heading off on these dirt roads here in Kansas, incognito. And what happened is we'll be talking and that sounds like the lyric of a song. She'll write it down,
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll see something later and on that same sheet, she writes something else down. And it's like, I might have 30 things here. And it's like, I'll be playing my guitar, just goofing around. And all of a sudden, whoa, this would be really cool. And I'll go get those lyrics and man, I just pick them up and then bam, it's like, wow, they start. And it's like, wow, some of the coolest.
You kind of stumble upon one thing and that leads to the thing that you stumble upon.
One was this, I remember we were way out on this dirt road and this storm was just bearing down on us. And there was a sign out there that a tornado had punched a hole in it and it had forked limbs on both sides of it. So I wrote a song about that whole thing. And one of my favorite lines that I came up with, the prairie can be so hot. You got the heat waves rising so high in the sky, and it just, and the lyrics just kind of poured out and it's like, wow, man, that's like, and it's like one of my favorite songs. And I played it for a good friend of mine that does sound out here a lot. And he said, man, you got the sound of Kansas down, dude. If you keep writing in that vein. So I've come up with 2 or 3 of them that are right in that vein. But
that's
right
cool,
now,
man.
Right now I'm on a gospel trip where I'm going back to some of the stuff I wrote in like 1974.
Cool.
And and it's fun to revisit that because I was really into rhythm blues really way back when, man. Like, and I'm talking about like the Temptations, people like that, they call it soul music. Some call it soul music, but really when you get down to it, it's rhythm and blues all the way. I mean, when you get right down into the heart of it. I mean, Tommy Castro proved that, didn't he?
Yeah, man, for sure. He's great too, man. Love him.
You ever got to share stage with him?
Yeah, oh yeah. Quite a bunch of times, actually. Yeah.
I have 3 times, and all 3 times I was so blessed.
Oh yeah, he's a great dude. Nice guy on stage too. Kind of makes you play better. He's real supportive.
Yeah, talking to him backstage is like, it's kind of the reason why I'm doing a show like this is because I try to treat it just like backstage, man. It's like, okay, you're getting used to, because you go to these gigs. Sometimes the big names you really like, Buddy Guy, you don't get to go talk to him. I mean,
right, sure,
you don't even get to really see him unless you tickle him or something like that. That was something that I've always enjoyed about the Kinsey Report is because they were so good at jamming that they just, hey, why don't you come on up and join us on stage? It's like, oh,
yeah, those guys are great too. I got to hang out with them too. They're wild dudes.
Yeah. I mean, Donald can wow you right now, and I've got to talk to Kenny. I still stay in touch with Kenny every now and then.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, they're great.
He gave me a great interview, also, like you're giving me right now.
That's awesome, man.
So these days is mainly you're just staying happy and focused, and you're not getting tired of it. You're not getting burned out of it, even though you got a daughter and wife at home, and you just.
Yeah, I mean, I love to play music, and you know, I'm not traveling a lot. I play a lot of gigs for sure, you know, but I'm staying kind of close to home, you know. So, but I definitely am not getting tired of it, no, and I don't have any plans on quitting at any point in my life for sure.
I know. I turned 62 and I walked away. I mean, Kansas City and then I went down to Lake Ozark and I hooked up with the James Clay down there, and it just got, I just, you know, it was overwhelming, and I just got
Yeah.
old, you know, and I started getting older, and it's like, and I had this guitar factory going on, and it was like, it was crazy back in those
Yeah.
days, you know, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I mean,
Sure.
you know, I might be grouchy every now and then about, you know, something that I do, but it's like, you know, that's part of being 68 years old. If we're not grouchy, I mean, this is what you got to look forward to, Brandon. You
All
quit
right.
smiling, you get grouchy about everything. No.
Oh man.
Let's play another song.
Uh,
I want to do this one because I believe you're covering the slide on it. Tell me if I'm wrong. I know it's gonna rain.
yeah.
You
I know
know,
it's gonna rain, yeah.
it's a longer tune, but I really, really like your work
Yeah.
in it, you know?
It's a beautiful song. I like that song a lot, man. That's
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorites.
I got one called It's Raining Outside, and it's just, it was about the time I got in a fight with my wife,
Okay.
and she done walked out the door, and the storm took off, and it was wild, crazy, and, you know, it's raining outside my window today, you know, and I did the slide work on it, and it was a lot of
Nice.
fun, man. Yeah, it was a lot
Oh,
of fun.
good.
So this one kind of brings up that memory of that song, which
I see.
I haven't played since probably 2005. So I don't know. Here we go.
You darn.
A love that's lost,
Nice.
no need to cry.
This one does cool things.
Oh
I
wow.
endured at all costs
That's crazy. Nice, man.
for all the reasons why. Some search for reassurance, someplace else for the blame. An aired waste of time, but the thirst for it's the same. I know it's gonna rain again. The pressure will subside. I know it's gonna rain again. I know it's gonna rain again. No oasis this time. It too is running out. No. No time to make this rhyme. This stroke won't let me shout. I know it's gonna rain again. The pressure will subside. record. Like a desert, sand deep in my eyes. They've been dry all these years. They've forgotten how to cry. I know it's gonna rain again. Everything gonna be alright. I know it's gonna rain again. I know it's gonna rain again. I said I know it's gonna rain again. Everything gonna be alright. I know it's gonna rain again. I know it's gonna rain again. Yeah.
My. It sounds like you're playing music with Sun Seals there, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that silky voice going on, man.
He's got a killer voice.
Oh,
killer
my
voice.
God, it is. It's like Sun Seals, man. I don't know if you listen to
right.
a lot of Sun
Oh,
Seals.
sure.
But,
yeah, I love Sun.
Oh, man. I mean, it's got that silk, you know. It's that satin voice that I always begged God to give me that I never got.
I know. Tell me. I'm right there with you, my friend. There's only an elite few that have that kind of voice.
Oh man, I mean it's given out in small doses for some reason. Well, maybe it's because people like us could sit around and go, man, God,
yeah,
wish I had that kind of voice.
Yeah,
man. I wish I could.
It takes both.
Oh man, it gives you goosebumps actually to think about. Yeah. And you get to hang out with that guy, man. You get to go play music with him. Man. Oh my,
so lucky.
Goodness. You don't have to do nothing, really. I mean,
exactly.
that guy can tell a story, too, you know.
Yeah.
It's raining outside. You know, I mean, wow.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, brother, you know, it's so wonderful to have you on the show. And it's so many other things I wanted to talk about. But it's like you know, I mean, it's like somebody that has the deep experience that you've had and walks the walk and does everything that a blues band in modern times should do. It's no wonder, you know, you get nominated for Grammys, and Grammys are coming up and probably getting more and more offers. Hey man, can you record on this piece that I got, man? You know, I mean, I could see why that would happen to somebody like yourself, you know? I mean, yeah.
Appreciate you saying that, man, because you know, I love it, and I have worked hard, and I, you know, I hopefully it already has paid off. So, you know, I appreciate you saying that for sure.
Oh no, man. I know, you know, I mean, like I said, anytime you talk about playing, you know, like they say you're playing your guitar, they don't understand. That's my job. This is my work. This is what I do.
Right.
And for you up and comings that are listening to the show right now, you know, we've been with Brandon Hudspeth here, And the thing to realize is that there's hardships in playing. Sometimes it doesn't always go like you want it to go. Sometimes you've got to alter where you're going with what you want to do. Sometimes you've got to change your plans, and that's just the way it is. And if you're going to get involved in the music business, you got to realize that there's travel involved, and you're going to deal with some managers that are not, the managers of places that you play that are not so much fun to deal with,
Right.
and they might try to even stiff you of your money. They might even try to, all kinds of things, change the agreement, or several things like that can happen to you in the music business, and that's part of it. And that's kind of why I'm inspired to have these folks on the show, because they know the music business even better than I do, and I'm just a guy that's gone down the road, so I'm really getting to enjoy these talks that I get. Brandon, I can't thank you enough for having you on the show, brother, man. This is so great.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and see you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully I'll look out there or you'll do the same, and we'll see each other again, in person.
That'd be fantastic. I'm not too bad about driving to Wilson. I love Wilson.
Yeah.
I love the people down.
People are nice. You're right. It's a nice little pocket of society.
I wish I could promise you that, but I never know from day to day what's going to really happen.
Oh, that's okay. But it would be cool to see if you do come out.
Oh, that's great, man. Oh yeah, I can't believe how much I enjoyed you guys at the Kettle when you guys played at that little small gig.
I appreciate it.
Oh God, it was so good, because it's like around here you don't get to hear the blues, or you don't get you hear most of or even like a 50s style country music, you don't get to hear that a lot. You get to hear new country, or you don't get to hear nothing, and it's like,
I hear you, yeah.
As I've even had to stop playing a lot of blues because people just don't like it as well, and I'm a musician. You got to work where your crowd is, even though my heart will always be playing a style of the 1920s on a slide guitar. It's good.
There you go.
That's my maiden voyage. And I talked to Kevin Self. That was one of the things that he also brought up, and he brought out a 1934 National that he was proud to be playing on, and
that's
stuff
something
like that.
that I would like to get someday, is a nice old National someday.
Well, talk to Jimmy Lewin. He has a nose for that kind of stuff.
He sure does. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Jimmy has. I believe he has. He had 2 or 3 last time I was down at his place. Oh yeah.
I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll see him tomorrow and I'll talk to him.
I think he had a 28, a 29, and a 32. I think is what he had. And they were.
Damn.
And I also did the work on one of his cones. I took that wood piece that's just under the bridge, and it's on the top. It sits on top of the cone.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I made him one of those, and
cool.
fixed one of those. So I'm in one of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
But I'm gonna close out here. Stick around, because I want to say goodbye to you the proper way, and not in front of everybody. Right. And I'm sorry about the freeze up and the little bit of confusion that we had there. But folks, I've been on with the one gracious guitar hero kind of man. I mean, this dude can play the guitar. I don't know. He thinks a note, and that note is already, it's going to be produced. It doesn't matter. The guy's amazing. So anyway, and I'm going to close it out. Brandon, thanks again. And
thank you.
And yeah, hang on here. Well, it's that time. BurntPossumRecords.com. That's right. That's where you'll be able to hear this podcast and other podcasts. Plenty of podcasts out there to listen to nowadays. And I've been so happy to have Brandon Hudspeth. Yes, this man he's playing in 3 different bands, getting ready to go to Europe and tour Europe, of all places. And one thing I want to say to you, folks, it don't cost nothing to be kind. It don't cost nothing to fall in love with community and a community of people. There's nothing wrong with being nice when you get in your car. That's one place that you can be nice, because that is the hardest place to be nice. And why do I talk about it? Well, maybe you won't get in accidents that way. And maybe you'll find that the person that you're following is actually going to the same place you're going, whether it be church, whether it be to a gig somewhere, or whether it's going out to eat. You might end up at the table right next to them. So what's it going to cost to be nice and save face? Yeah, that's right. Anyway, people, God bless you. I'm so glad you came and visited us here on BurntBossRecords.com. And you've been hanging with the band. I'm Howlin Steve Howell saying goodbye. Thanks for joining in.